everyone, and welcome back to the read aloud of The Adventures of Young Kalam. I'm Stuti, the author of the book, and today we're going to do chapter 4. It's a brand new day in Rameswaram. There's nothing we're following up on, so let's see what Kalam and his friends are up to today. The following week, Monday began with the distribution of report cards in Vivekananda Vidyalaya. The three boys, that is, Kalam, Bali, and Ram, had been looking forward to this day after their little trick on Punakai. They sat impatiently on their mats, waiting for Punakai to stomp into class 3A, flinging report cards at the children as she usually did. You can imagine the surprise when instead walked in Principal Vembu, report cards in hand, a fuming Punakai following closely behind. The chatter died out as the class stood up to greet the two. I know you were not expecting to see me this morning, but there is an important matter that has come to my notice, and I told Miss Punakai that I myself must come to address the class, said the principal. The three boys looked at each other, worried. Could Principal Vembu have found out that the marks on Bali's sheet had been changed? But Punakai couldn't have changed the answer sheet, and the workings were all there. With a grave expression, he pulled out a report card and turned to the class. You could see the heartbeat out of Kalam's chest. He knew he had done the right thing, and no one could prove that he had changed the grades. But the result of crossing Punakai could be deadly. And just then, as the boys prepared for the worst, Principal Vembu looked up from the report card and beamed. Nothing gives me more joy than to hear of a kid's improvement. And this child, after years of struggle, has shown incredible growth. Punakai looked at the man, puzzled. I knew I had to come congratulate the boy for such great work, he continued. Bali Murugan, I'm very proud of you. That's impossible. Let me see, Punakai interrupted, snatching Bali's report card from Principal Vembu's hand. Miss Punakai, you sound surprised. Of course, you know what you marked Bali, he said calmly, taking back the report card from her firm grip. Of course, yes, Punakai stammered. Bali jumped up with joy, tripping over his bag in the excitement of going up to collect the report card. He'd come third in class. Standing right behind, Punakai now looked a mix of quizzical and absolutely furious. No prizes for guessing who came first, laughed Principal Vembu. Kalam, congratulations on getting A+ in all your subjects yet again. Whatever, scoffed a few boys, poking Kalam as he walked up to stand next to Bali. But Kalam hardly took notice. His mind was focused on wanting to read the teacher's comments on his report card. A boy named Hamad came second, and Ram stood fourth. The three friends were ecstatic, more because of their victory over Punakai than their results. I will leave Miss Punakai to distribute the rest, said Professor Vembu, patting the four boys as he strode out. The class turned to Punakai, who was red with rage. As soon as Principal Vembu was out of sight, she picked up the remaining report cards and started flinging them at the children, hitting them in their face each time. Kalam, Bali, and Ram slunk to the corner. Once she had left all the boys crying over multiple paper cuts on their faces, she turned to the nearest boy, that was Hamad, and picked him up by his ears. Tell me how you did it, she screamed. Hamad looked at her, confused. Tell me, boy. Did what, miss? Asked a scared Hamad. How you cheated with your marks. But I didn't, miss. Believe me, I didn't. How dare you lie to a teacher, she screamed. shaking him up furiously. Say something, you fool, she cried, now going around in circles, Hamad flying with her. Say something! It was a horrifying sight. Poor Hamad had turned bright red for no fault of his. His eyes were popping out and his lips were sealed in a thin line. For a moment you could see him open his mouth, then decide against it. Punukai continued going around and round, faster and faster, until all you could see of them were blurry circles. Hamad began to say something. I have, but he could not complete his sentence. Instead, he sprayed vomit all over Punukai. The class giggled. Most of them did anyway. Punukai's pets were making note of everyone who laughed to tell her later. Punukai now looked even scarier. Her whole face flushed a deep shade of purple, polka dotted white with the vomit. You really are an annoying boy, and there's only one thing that can teach such boys a lesson, she said. She walked to the window where an electric line hung close by and pegged Hamad on it by his ears. She turned to the class, roaring with laughter. On the electric line, Hamad's body was falling limp, as if going into deep sleep. So that is Punukai, who's pegged Hamad on the electric line outside the window. And everyone is looking around while she's scolding him. Okay. Just then, Professor Ramachandran, who was walking by, caught sight of Punukai poking Hamad with a compass. He rushed into the class and pulled Hamad down onto his lap. What do you think you're doing? Asked Professor Ramachandran, taken aback. Giving him a well-deserved punishment, said Punukai, rolling her eyes. Professor Ramachandran was a renowned scientist and teacher at Vivekananda Vidyalaya. Needless to say, he was also Kalam's idol. Punishing him by hanging him by his ears? The boy is barely conscious, said Professor Ramachandran, beginning to get angry. What did he do? He cheated. You caught him cheating? I didn't need to. I knew he did. That's enough, stormed Professor Ramachandran. I will not have an ill-mannered old woman like you punish a kid only because you think he cheated. And so cruelly at that. In a wink, the entire school was outside the classroom, peeking in to witness the fight. Kalam had never seen Professor Ramachandran so angry. The professor dismissed the class and carried Hamad out for some air. You cannot come to my class and challenge me. I will not have it, Ramachandran. I will do what I wish to do with the children. Leave the boy here or you will pay. Everyone, come back. Punukai followed the professor, shouting. You will pay for this dearly, Professor. You will pay, she said, waving her fists in the air. She went on and on as she picked up the darting children by their hair and dropped them back in class. Kalam managed to escape after the professor. Professor, is Hamad going to be all right? It's all our fault. It's really all our fault. I am so sorry. We went to check Bali's paper and found that Punukai was marking him crookedly. So we corrected it, and now she's punishing Hamad for it. I'm so sorry, he rambled on. He will be just fine, Kalam, said Professor, looking down at Hamad, who was now waking up. You go back to class. I will take care of Hamad and see you at home in the evening. That's it for today, and we'll see what Kalam and the professor are up to at home in the next chapter. Bye.